Good evening, everyone. My name is Leia Swanberg, and I am the host of today's webinar and also the owner of Canadian Fertility Consultants and Egg Helpers, both a surrogacy and egg donor agency located in Canada. We are so grateful that you have taken time from your busy schedule to share this next hour with us, learning about an amazing way that we can support you to become parents. And we have helped so many clients in Spain, and it has been such a blessing to be able to travel throughout Spain and visit our clients over the years. And today, I hope that you are as inspired by what you hear as I am by the enormous amount of love that that you as Spanish people have for becoming parents and having these amazing families. So welcome. Today's broadcast will be subtitled in Spanish, and we will have Tanya, a nurse at the Create Fertility Center, also sharing some information in Spanish for you today. CFC and Egg Helpers have been in operation for 15 years. We have helped thousands of people become parents through egg donation and them carrying their child, or egg donation and having a surrogate carry their child. And our surrogates are located across Canada. They are amazing women who have joined our altruistic surrogacy program in hopes to help people become parents. It is often asked of us if surrogates will choose someone who lives on the other side of the world, and the answer is yes. We as women and as surrogates, having been a surrogate myself twice, are inspired by people who have to go to such great lengths to become parents. And so when we, as surrogates, view your profile or your biography, we cannot imagine what you are going through, what you have gone through in order to become parents, and we are absolutely inspired. So that's something I want you to really take with you as you learn more about the IVF process in Canada, the legal process, and surrogacy process. So today you'll be joined, or I will be joined by Ellen Embury, amazing lawyer here who works with amazing lawyers in Spain and intended parents to really put together a legal process that makes most sense for you based on where you live and who you are. You'll hear from her. You'll also hear from Dr. Librach, who is, in my view, the most amazing fertility doctor in Canada. He has the largest fertility clinic with just amazing, amazing staff. You'll also hear from Tanya, who is one of his nurses, who is a Spanish speaker, who will be able to take care of you, answer your questions, support you through this process in your first language of Spanish. And it will be great to end our time with her, sharing her experience, working with Spanish clients, translating for them, and really creating just an amazing customer service experience for our clients who are Spanish speakers. So first, when intended parents come to Canada or start pursuing Canada, we really encourage them to dream about this process, to really spend time looking at what is important to you. Because what is important to you becomes important to us as an agency. And our goal is to support you. Our job is to hold space for you as you build your family. And so our process starts with a consultation with one of our case coordinators. While I'm the owner of the company and available to you at any time, you will have a team around you that will care for you. And that team consists of someone who does your intake, gets all your information so that they can find the best surrogate for you. You'll have someone on our finance team to ensure that you understand where every dollar you send us is going, ensuring that you are working with a surrogate who has all of her receipts and reimbursements to us and is acting within the Canadian law around an altruistic surrogacy model. You'll also have a support person. You'll have someone on our team, myself, or someone else who will be available to you to help you with relationship building, Surrogacy is the most intimate experience you will have with an absolute stranger. And how will you build that relationship? How will you trust this person? Well, we're going to show you how, and we cannot wait to do that. Your surrogate will also have a finance team member, a support person, and the most important person on our team is Jan Silverman. She's a counselor who works with us and works with our intended parents and surrogates throughout the journey, ensuring that you have the emotional support that you require throughout the process. So that's the surrogacy side. Now, if you are coming to Canada and you are going to go through the egg retrieval process, then you've got your eggs. If you don't, and you're looking for an egg donor, we have another sort of arm of our organization, and it's called Egg Helpers. Egg Helpers will help you locate an egg donor, whether that donor is known to you or whether she's an anonymous donor. And that's really up to you. It's up to you how you build your family. It is up to us to support you in doing so. So if you are looking for an egg donor that you know, that you communicate with throughout the entire time, and who is really a part of your family, we can support that. If you're looking for a donor who is open to an open ID donation, which means when your child reaches the age of majority, they're able to seek out, and find this woman, that's available too. If alternatively, you are looking for a completely anonymous donor, so someone that you have seen her photos, you have her health history, education background, employment information, if you're curious about what she does for a living, as well as her family's health history, noted by us, confirmed by the clinic, all of that is possible. I have worked for many years with Spanish clients. I have built amazing relationships with Spanish clinics. And the one thing I've always been curious about is the process in Spain for egg donors. It is always interesting to me that you don't see her photo, that you don't necessarily have a whole lot of health information, but you have the doctor suggesting that this is a great donor for you. And while I think that can be a great model for many, I think there are many intended parents who are more curious than that, or they want to provide further information to their child, you know, all the way along as a part of their story, or they want the option when their child is reaching age of majority to provide this information to them. And so in Canada, we have the opportunity for all of those pieces. Myself, I've been an egg donor many times, both anonymously and known. And so if you ever want to chat about that, but what that looks like, I would love to share my experience. For me, being an egg donor it was amazing. It was an opportunity for me to be able to outwardly express to someone else how amazing my children are. And now that my children are adults and two of them have been egg donors, they share the same. And donors do. They say, I want people to have the family that I have because my family is so amazing. Or, for myself, I have 5 kids, but for many donors, they say, I come from a huge family. I couldn't imagine not having that. And so I want to give this gift. And it is truly an amazing gift. And it's a sacred gift, but it's also a protected gift. And so Ellen will talk to you about that, and that whether your donor is known, whether your donor is anonymous, that this is your child, and what that looks like from a legal perspective, Ellen will talk about. So as you enter into this process, whether it's to find a donor, a surrogate, you will have a team around you that will support you throughout that process. And once you're matched, once your surrogate is pregnant, we will continue to support you until you have traveled back to Spain with your baby, and hopefully are able to come back to have future children with us. We have many clients who have had 2 and 3, and even in some cases 4 children through surrogacy. And it is such a gift to us to be able to be a part of. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Ellen Embury, who will speak to you about the legal process and how her firm has supported and helped hundreds of clients in Spain become parents through egg donation or egg donation and surrogacy. So thank you so much for being a part of our webinar today.
Thank you so much, Leia, and welcome everybody. I understand that it's late afternoon in Spain, but hopefully those of you who can't be with us will be able to review the webinar later this evening. I'm always so glad to see so many people from Spain who are interested in surrogacy in Canada. My law partner, Rachel West, and I own Canada's largest fertility and surrogacy law practice. We have been working as a team with Spanish clients for many, many years. Most of those are same-sex couples or single men, but we also, of course, work with heterosexual couples coming to Canada. We have lots of babies in Spain to show for it. And the part that really is meaningful for me is that so many of those clients come back to do a second journey with their surrogates, which I think shows the success of the Canadian altruistic surrogacy model. So my job as the lawyer is to walk you through, in very big picture terms, the 3 stages of surrogacy from a legal side. And then I'm going to answer the 3 or 4 main questions that I often get from people who are looking at pursuing surrogacy in Canada. So step number 1, as Leia said, it is important to create those embryos. And usually that is going to involve an egg donor agreement, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Step number 2 is the happy match with a surrogate. Again, that's going to involve a fairly detailed surrogacy legal agreement. And the purpose of that is to set out the relationship with the surrogate from the perspective of finances, reimbursable expenses. Remember, she's not being paid in Canada. We'll talk about behavior during the pregnancy. We'll talk about things that you perhaps haven't thought about, like, for example, what happens if you as the parents die while she's pregnant with your baby? How are we going to manage those things? So my job is to think about everything that could happen during the surrogacy and make sure that you're protected and that the surrogate is protected. The third step is, I would say, certainly our favorite part, and that is getting you onto your baby's birth certificate, getting you your Canadian passport. And with our Spanish clients, we also work with Spanish lawyers to start the process for your Spanish citizenship while you're in Canada. It's actually a very fast process with Spain. So by the time you get on the airplane to go home, you will have your child's Canadian passport. You will have your child's birth certificate, which lists you as the parents, and you will either have or almost have Spanish citizenship completed for your child. We work with a number of lawyers in Spain. One in particular, who I believe is on the call today, is Beatriz Huguera, and she's always happy to talk with Spanish clients about how it is that that she can help you with the Spanish side of the process. So, in terms of the top 4 questions that I am usually asked, 4 or 5, number 1 is always, what will the birth certificate look like? The answer is very simple. The birth certificate, if you are a couple, a same-sex couple, it is going to list you and your partner as the only parents of the baby. If you are single, the birth certificate, when you go back to Spain, is going to list only you as the only parent of the baby. By the time you get on the airplane, the surrogate will not appear on the birth certificate. And in most Canadian provinces, the surrogate will never appear on the birth certificate. There are some province-to-province differences, and I actually have a summary of that on my website if you want to take a look at that, and we can always talk through that, because I do get lots of questions about that. What you need to know is that by the time you get on that plane to go home, you will be the only parents listed on your baby's birth certificate. So always stemming from that question is, how long do we have to stay in Canada? And I do understand this. You can't see it outside of my window, but it's already snowing where I live. And I'm thinking very fondly of Valencia, where I think it is still very warm. So I can understand the desire to get back home to your family. What you should know is that it will typically take about 2 to 3 weeks from your baby's birth to get you your birth certificate and your passport. That will not finish the Spanish process in that time frame, but it will certainly be started. Certainly in my law practice, but all of the lawyers in Canada, we are always trying to get you back home as quickly as possible. I have finished the entire process, birth certificate, passport, Spanish citizenship, in as little as 7 days, but we have to manage expectations depending on time of year. And so you should expect to be here for somewhere in the range of 2 to 3 weeks after your baby's birth. I'm always asked whether COVID changed that, and the answer is no. In fact, during COVID, we were able to make the process for getting you your documents to go home even faster. The only issue with COVID was that we did need you to be here longer prior to the baby's birth. A third issue that I often talk about with clients about Canadian surrogacy is the issue of healthcare. In Canada, unlike in the United States, your surrogate's healthcare is 100% covered by the government. So your surrogate's healthcare is not your responsibility. However, your baby's healthcare is your responsibility. And there are excellent insurance options available, particularly for Spanish couples. And I can, as I say, the lawyers that I work with in Spain are very well aware of that. But it is something to think about from a legal perspective, and it is something to be aware of. But there are also excellent options, particularly available for Spanish couples, Spanish singles. The last question that I'm often asked is surrogacy safe in Canada? The answer is absolutely yes. The government regulates surrogacy here. What that means is that they have an interest in making sure that the process is truly altruistic, that surrogates are not being paid. And my experience, having dealt with thousands of surrogates over the past 15 years, is that the women who do this are doing this because they want to do it. It typically is a wonderful relationship. And as I say, we see that when they come back, or when my clients from Spain come back a year or two later to have another baby. In terms of what we do on my team from the legal side, our job is to work with you to make sure that you feel extremely comfortable. We do not work for the clinic, and we do not work for the agency. We work for the clients. And so while I can't promise it will always be smooth, there are always bumps in the road. The objective is to have a team that is going to support you through those bumps in the road. In terms of any other questions, I'm happy to answer questions that come up in the chat. My law partner and I, we do consults. I realize that when you're talking with a lawyer, often you don't want to ask questions in a public process. And so, of course, we do free consults. It is very important to us that you feel extremely comfortable with the decision to pursue surrogacy in Canada. And with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Librach, who will talk to you. And I know that Dr. Librach feels the same way. He wants you to be very, very comfortable with your decision to do surrogacy in Canada. And he will tell you about how he creates those embryos and how he gets those surrogates pregnant. So turning it to you, Dr. Librach.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here speaking to an audience from Spain. It's one of my favorite countries to visit. I love the Spanish people and of course the food and the wine. So I have very fond memories of Spain, and I'm so excited to work with people from Spain always to help them have children. And that's really what it's all about. We want to help you guys have your family that you always dreamed of. And I'm also so happy to be here with Leia and Ellen, both really incredible people in this field, the top among the top in the world in this area, and they and their team are just incredible. And to work with them, it's just an honor to work together as a team to help you have your children. So I want to talk about CREATE. Our clinic is located in Toronto, Canada. It's the largest city in Canada, if you're not familiar with Canada. And we have the largest IVF program in Canada. And I started this almost 30 years ago, this fertility clinic, and it's really grown to be a bustling, huge place that we can help so many people have children. And third-party or surrogacy and egg donation programming CREATE is a huge part of our clinic. And I really love that area of fertility and have dedicated a large proportion of people for that. We have over 15 nurses. We have 5 admin people, even more actually. I think it's now 7. We have our psychosocial counselors, 5 of them that work with our clients. And I feel very, very proud of all the people here that do this work to make you guys have help you guys have children. So how does it work? Well, first of all, you'll have you'll be referred to us, and one of the doctors here will do a consultation with you. And in my case, I will do either a Skype or phone call consultation, and we go through really in a great detail the whole process from a medical standpoint. And this process involves first getting a medical history from you to make sure that you're healthy and that there's no issues from a genetic point of view that could affect your child. And when I talk about genetics, I'm very proud of the fact that we have one of the top genetics laboratories in the world here at CREATE. And so we can do all kinds of testing on embryos to make sure to the best of our ability that your child will have be as healthy as possible. So that will be part of the discussion that we'll have, and make sure that that you guys are fully aware of the whole process. And I go through kind of a plan of action when we do this discussion. Obviously, I can't do all of it now, but that's something that we'll talk about. And I really want to tailor things to you specifically. It has to be it's very important that the process acknowledges all of the things that are important to you so that we can provide the best care possible. So when I talk about the part of the area, of course, we need to have your sperm. So in order to produce a baby for you, if we're going to use an egg donor in Canada, and we have developed during COVID, which of course travel was so difficult, a kit that we can actually ship to you, and then you can actually provide sperm at home, and it's frozen at home. And we have a kit with a video of explaining how to do it. And we've had hundreds of people do this now, and this has allowed them to avoid having to travel during COVID. Of course, we would love to have you come here, and it is possible now to travel to Canada. So if you are able to come, we'd love to have you, and you can come here and also freeze your sperm when you're here, get to know us at the clinic. And then, of course, you'll have to come back to pick up your baby. So you will have to come back to Canada, even if you do do the kit. So at some point you'll be here. And so then we also talk about the egg donation process. And egg donors are just incredible people in Canada that do this altruistically. And you're going to get a detailed medical history. You're going to choose your donor based on all of those aspects. And as Leia mentioned, the donors, you're going to get so much information, photos and information about her personality and education and work and hobbies and talents. Just an amazing amount. I always say that you'll know more about the donor than you knew about your partner if you are not single during this process. And we also test them for things that may affect our recommendation as to whether they are a good candidate to be a donor. We look for things in their family, like mental illness, and also genetic conditions. And we also look for substance abuse issues as well, doing a urine toxicology on the donors. We also look for their ovaries using a test called AMH, which you'll learn more about. and we do a full psychosocial screening on them. So we want to make sure that we feel comfortable with this person to be a donor, and that you feel comfortable that she is your donor as well. And Leah's already mentioned about the whole aspects of whether it be a known or anonymous donor, and those are things that the counselor will talk about, I'll talk about, and also your agency will talk about. So really very detailed information about your donor, and I will be handling your donor's cycle, where they go through a full harvesting of their eggs, and our laboratory is one of the top in the world to make embryos and to create them, and also to do genetic testing on the embryos to make sure that we're putting in an embryo in your surrogate that is as healthy as possible for you to have a healthy child. And surrogates are, of course, have to be screened as well medically, and all surrogates must already have children. They must be healthy, and they must have no trouble to give birth. That's a very important aspect of the medical screening of them. We also screen their partner if they have one as well, to make sure that they wouldn't cause any harm to the child during the pregnancy. And we also do urine toxicology tests on all surrogates to make sure, again, that there's nothing that would be concerning, such as smoking or taking drugs and things like that. And surrogates are incredible people that do this, and they're doing it in an altruistic way. And you're going to be part of the process in choosing your surrogate. They're also going to choose you, and you're both going to be mutually decide together that you're going to work as a team together with our medical team, with your lawyer, and the agency, CFC, and egg helpers. They also go through psychosocial screening, and so the surrogates really go through a very detailed medical assessment, and we want to feel really comfortable that your surrogate is someone who is going to be safe doing this. Obviously, we care that she comes through this in a very safe way, and also, of course, that your baby is safe as well. And in surrogacy nowadays, we put one embryo at a time, because the surrogate is doing this to help you have a baby, not to put her life at risk, and twin pregnancies are very high risk, and also there's a high risk of prematurity for the babies, which can have all kinds of long-term health problems in some cases. Also, the other thing is that if you're a same-sex couple or a heterosexual couple, you may want to have more than, or even a single person, you may want to have one child, or you may want to have two. And if you're a same-sex couple, often people want to have one child from the sperm of each of them, and that's something that we can easily do, because we'll make embryos from each of you, and that's the most common thing we see with same-sex couples. We also go through the financial aspects, and we have a person here who speaks Spanish. Cielo is our financial person who will go through in detail in Spanish, if you wish, to talk about the programs we have, and we have programs that are actually a guarantee program. So we feel so confident that we're going to be able to help you have a child, that we have a guarantee program where you can have a guarantee of one baby, or your money back minus a small administrative fee, or we can guarantee two babies, or we can even do a guarantee 1+1, which is one baby for each of the two couples when it's a same-sex male couple. And she'll talk to you in detail about that and all the financial aspects of the medical aspect of this process. So I want to just close by saying how happy I am to work with people from Spain. It's an amazing country, as I said at the beginning, and we have an incredible clinic here at Create to help you through this process, and we work with incredible people like Ellen and Leia to be able to provide the best legal advice, as well as the best care agency to help you find a surrogate and an egg donor. So thank you very much, and I look forward to working with people from Spain in the future.
Hola a todos, yo soy Tania, yo soy una de las enfermeras acá. Yo trabajo con Dr. Librach y él es el doctor, como han visto. Yo estaré ayudándolos cuando ustedes vengan acá o en caso si ustedes quieren usar el kit de esperma también. Yo estaré al lado de ustedes para cualquier cosa que necesiten de medicina. Desde el principio, ustedes estarán en contacto conmigo. Yo les voy a poder ayudar con cualquier cosa que sea de medicina. Si acaso hay algo que no entendieron o si quieren más información, siempre estoy aquí disponible para ustedes. Al final siempre queremos que ustedes tengan su familia y que, ese es el goal. Ese es lo que queremos y obviamente queremos que ustedes sean parte con nosotros. Entonces, los dejo aquí. Siempre van a tener una enfermera aquí si necesitan cualquier cosa. Hey, all finished. Thanks, Leia.
Excellent. Thank you, Tanya. It's so important for us as an agency to have and to work with clinics that have staff who will speak your language and will ensure a clear communication between yourselves, your practitioners in Spain in terms of having, initial blood work done or having any questions around the medical process be answered for you very easily. And so it's been such a pleasure to have Tanya available and working specifically with our Spanish clients to ensure that as they meet with Dr. Librach or as they are working through sort of some of the medical pieces, that they have all of the information. It is just fantastic. So thank you, Tanya. Jordan, do we have any, so Jordan is moderating for us. Jordan, do we have any questions from the group, either for Dr. Librach, Ellen, or myself?
Hi, everyone. Yes, we do have some questions. I'll invite everyone to join back on screen, and we'll get started with the Q&A portion. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Okay, so we do have a few questions here. We had some people joining in partway through, so this may have been covered already, but we do have a few questions here circling back to embryos in Spain. So if a couple has their embryos in Spain, are these able to be shipped to Canada?
So absolutely, we ship all the time from every country in the world, and Spain is no exception. And we're able to ship the embryos here to Canada. We have a team of people that do our transportation every single day.
Okay, great. And if they have, so this is another couple from Spain. Their friend has actually offered to be their egg donor. Is this something where she can travel to Canada to donate her eggs?
Yes, absolutely she can. And we can, she'd have to be here for a couple of weeks to do that. But it's certainly something that we would be very happy to help with. And we've done that for many, many couples throughout the years.
Okay, great. And then for couples who don't currently have an egg donor in Spain or anywhere, how can they get started with egg helpers?
Sure. So they can reply to the email that we'll be sending out later with contact details for egg helpers, and they can begin to look on the egg helpers database for an available egg donor. I would also suggest that they speak to Ellen as well, just to talk about the difference between, legally speaking, between a known and an anonymous egg donor, and what the implications may be for them as they travel home with their baby in the future.
Okay, thank you. We have someone else here who is just starting to think about surrogacy. They were wondering, should they be finding an egg donor and a surrogate at the same time? Will that help speed up their process? What do you recommend for this?
Absolutely. So my suggestion always is to connect with us, to speak to the fertility clinic first, because we want to ensure that anyone we work with has the ability to create their own family, either genetically or not. So either using their own sperm or not. And so we would suggest to speak to Dr. Librach straight off the hop. And then as well to speak to Ellen so that she can introduce you to a lawyer in Spain. And if you are a Spain resident, but maybe hold a passport from somewhere else, there may be other legal implications. And so definitely to connect with all of us so that we can put together a plan for you, because it is very individual how you will build your family based on where you're from, who you are, your health, all of those pieces. And so we want to make sure that you have your team together even before you start looking for an egg donor or a gestational carrier.
Okay, thank you so much. And just one last question came in here. So they already have an egg donor with egg helpers, actually. So their next step is to reach out to CFC and get started there. So how can they set up a consultation with CFC?
Absolutely. So they can email us again from the email that they'll receive, or if they already have our contact details, and we can really fast track them to move forward very quickly. Typically, our wait time right now for a surrogate is 3 to 6 months, and we will walk through that process with intended parents to ensure that their profile, that their biography is as attractive to as many surrogates as possible. And so for those clients or any of you who are getting ready to begin, really just begin thinking about who this woman is going to be, what your values are around selective reduction or termination if a medical abnormality arises, the type of relationship that you're wanting to have with your surrogate, and during the process and after. And our team will walk you through that to ensure that as you're beginning to look at surrogates, that you are finding someone who is not only available, but someone who meets your criteria. It is so important as you go through this journey that you are being matched with someone who shares those values and is willing to partner with you throughout this entire process.
Yeah, those were all of the questions that were submitted for today.
I received one more. I received one more question on Instagram. This question is from a single intended father who is HIV positive with an undetectable viral load. And Dr. Librach, I guess the question is for you. Is that someone that you would be willing or able to work with?
Absolutely. We've worked with, I would say, hundreds of people with HIV that live with HIV. And because you have undetectable levels, then the risk to a surrogate or the baby is basically zero to our knowledge. There's never been a case of transmission of HIV to a surrogate or baby in the world because it's not carried by the sperm or the eggs, and so therefore it's very, very safe. Of course, surrogates, need to be informed about this and have, good education about the fact that it is safe to do, and many, many surrogates are very, very happy to work with HIV positive people. So you can feel very comfortable working at our clinic if you are HIV positive.
Excellent. And I would echo what Dr. Librach said. We have worked with many clients who are HIV positive, and the surrogates, from our perspective, we want to make sure that they're making an educated decision. And so we have them speak to a lawyer. We have them speak to either their family doctor or an infectious disease specialist to really get the information necessary to know that they are making an educated decision, around the medical piece of this process. And so thank you for that. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Ellen, Tanya, Dr. Librach, thank you. It's always a pleasure, and I look forward to meeting many of you as you join our program and we're able to help you become parents.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Que tengan buen día.